Hello YouTube land, Roknot back with another video. This time a collections video. This is actually my Final Fantasy collection. I've been collecting Final Fantasy games for quite a number of years actually. A lot of these games I purchased upon release, and some games I have purchased recently. And I'm going to go through some of these with you right now. We'll start with the Super Nintendo releases. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I picked that up via some of the trades I was doing with a local game store, that I outlined in my last pickups video. It works. It's in great condition. I haven't really got to play it much. We'll save that. Final Fantasy II. This is actually complete in box. I purchased this off eBay a number of years ago. Actually, my wife purchased it for me. It is complete in box. It has the map, the manual, the game, all the inserts. And now the box has a little bit of wear on it, shelf wear. But the game still works. I've pulled it out. I've played it. Pulled it out. That's what she said. And I've played it a couple of times. Great game. Final Fantasy. The original Final Fantasy. The one that started it all. I have it, again, complete in box. Little bit of wear on the box itself. No tabs missing or anything. The map itself is in great condition. I've never actually taken the game out of this box to play it. Since I purchased this, I didn't purchase this brand new when I was a kid, considering it came out when I was 6 years old. So I didn't originally own this. My wife again purchased that off eBay for me. I forget how much she paid. And she also purchased this little combination here, Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo. Now this by far is my most favorite Final Fantasy game. I have played this game through multiple times, building up different characters each time. Unfortunately, it's not complete. I've got the cart here, which again, in fantastic condition. The manual, also in great condition, as you can see. And now, unfortunately, this isn't the original map, as you can tell. It's a laminated copy, not quite the size. I've been looking for an original map, but that'll do for now. So that is the Super Nintendo and NES versions of my Final Fantasy games that I have. We'll move on to the PSP games that I have. I have Final Fantasy II for the PSP. Complete. I bought that when I bought my PSP. I bought a used PSP a while ago, just so when I was traveling down to the States and whatnot, I'd have something to play. And Final Fantasy Dissidia, I think is how it's pronounced. This is the original one, not the 012. I actually bought this off Kijiji for $5. Not a bad deal. Not your typical Final Fantasy game. It's a head-to-head fighting. Not really my cup of tea, but it's Final Fantasy. Then, the Game Boy Advanced, Final Fantasy V Advanced. Again, this is complete in box. As you can see, the box is in mint condition. I bought this from a local game store here in town. And I've played it a couple of times. I haven't beaten it, but I mostly played it when I used to work at a bingo hall. So when I was on my break. So I really didn't get a whole lot of time to play it. because when I'm at home playing games, I'm not going to sit around and play Game Boy. However, if I do end up getting a Game Boy player for my GameCube, I'll probably plug that back in. Maybe. Moving right along onto my PlayStation Final Fantasy games, I have the PlayStation Origins, as you can see. Yes, I bought it from EB Games or GameStop, whatever you want to call it, whether you're in Canada or US, for $34.99. And it has Final Fantasies 1 and 2, again, original case with it. I have not replaced the case or anything. And it is, as you can see, complete. I've played it a few times. I've beaten the original, yes, and I haven't really got into 2, but again, I'll probably end up doing a marathon on these games at one point. So stay tuned for that. Final Fantasy Anthology. I actually picked this up a couple of months back. I should have put this in my pickup video, but I forgot. I've actually picked this up with a strategy guide for $20 off my friend, who sold me the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. And it is complete. Final Fantasy V there with manual. And doing this one-handed is kind of difficult. That's what she said. And Final Fantasy VI. And then Final Fantasy VII. I didn't originally own this when it came out. I actually rented it a few times. I never got off the first disc, and I haven't played it since acquiring it here. Actually, my mother bought this for me for my 25th birthday. She paid a ridiculous amount of money for it from a pawn shop. I think she paid about $80. Yeah, doesn't quite go for that now, but it is Black Label, and it is complete. It's got all the manuals and all the discs. So I'm really happy to have that. Final Fantasy VIII, I actually owned a greatest hits copy of this game. That's actually the game I traded away for those 3 Super Nintendo games. I just recently picked this one up with a strategy guide. I paid $25 for the pair. I made that purchase off Kijiji. I had to go a little bit out of town to get it, but you know, worth its money. Again, it's complete. All the discs, all the manuals, and it's actually a Final Fantasy that I've gotten to the end and never beat. I got to the final boss battle and I just couldn't beat the bitch. I don't know what it was. I think my characters were just not strong enough. And then Final Fantasy IX. It's actually gotta be my second favorite Final Fantasy that I've actually played through. Because the old throwback to the Black Mage. Loved that character through that game. I bought this originally from GameStop or EB Games, whatever you want to call it. I think they're called GameStop now. I bought it through them originally. I've been the only owner of this copy. So it is in fantastic condition, complete. Never let any kids play with my games, that's for sure. Moving right along on to the PlayStation 2 games. This is actually my second copy of Final Fantasy X. I actually bought this Black Label copy with that Resident Evil Code Veronica that I got. So, and this replaced a game, or it replaced the greatest hits version that I had of this game. I traded it into a local store and got $10 for it when I actually only paid $3.50 for this. So, you know, I came out ahead, and as you can tell, it is complete with manual and all the inserts and whatnot, as you can see there. And the disc is in fantastic condition. I've played through this game. I quite enjoyed it. I'll probably play through it again. I'm actually looking to get a PlayStation 3. I don't currently own one, so I can get the remastered versions of Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. Final Fantasy X-2, I've actually only popped this in my system once. It just wasn't my cup of tea, for lack of better terms. It is complete. I bought this originally from EB Games. Not when it first came out, but because I got my PlayStation 2 a little bit late. But it is complete and in fantastic condition, as I keep most of my stuff. This Final Fantasy 12 I actually picked up in a pickup, in that 78 game pickup for like 42 cents a piece. It's Black Label, again, complete. Final Fantasy 12, again, isn't really... it's not your typical Final Fantasy game. It's not the turn-based... Well, it's not your typical turn-based, as well as... Sorry, excuse my cough again. I'm still battling that cold. As well as, you know, the walking around is just... I don't know, seeing the monsters ahead of time, it just throws me off with a Final Fantasy game. I'll probably pop it in the system again. I got this Black Label edition to actually play because I only rented Final Fantasy 12 when it was available at Blockbuster, when Blockbusters were still open. So I've never played it through. I'll probably give it another shot when I do a Final Fantasy marathon. But I picked this copy up to play because I have a copy of Final Fantasy 12 in the collector's edition in the metal tin. That is actually still, if you can see it here, factory sealed. I've never opened it. It stayed this way the entire time. I paid the $59.99. I had EB Canada, as you can see. Yes, I'm from Canada. Great White North. I use a generator to run my internet and everything. My kids run on a treadmill all day to power it up so I can do this shit at night. And I'm not going to open that up to show you guys the contents, unfortunately. Now this game, I traded for this one, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I've never played it. As I said, I did trade for it. I traded, what did I trade? I traded a Game Boy Advanced SP system, red in color, model number 101, I believe, for this, and an N64 edition of Ocarina of Time. So I think I made it pretty good there. It is complete with the disc and everything, so I was happy with that trade, and it does work. I've popped it in the system. Unfortunately, there's sticker residue all over it, so I'll have to remove all that. But anyway, moving right along. And then to the last of my games, actually, I've got a couple more, but they're out on... Whoops. Keep forgetting to do that. I look at the physical game and not through the camera. Till I'm an amateur. I got a couple more games on the shelf there that I forgot to grab. I've got a Final Fantasy Tactics for Game Boy Advance, just the cart alone. But these ones here, I've popped this in the system once. Final Fantasy 13, I really enjoyed it. It's just, you know, with life right now, I don't have a whole lot of time to play a Final Fantasy game because it's just, you know, they're far too involved. You just get into the story and then a baby starts crying, or you got to go to bed because you got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, stuff like that. I bought this brand new when it came out. I was really excited for its release. I've been the only owner of this game, and it's in, you know, perfect condition, complete. Still got everything in it as I like to keep my games. See, it's still, it's still got, you know, that product and register the product key code and stuff like that. And then it's got the disc 1 and disc 2 and, yep, all that fun jive. Alright, I'm moving right along. Final Fantasy 10-2, not 10-2, 13-2. I didn't purchase this right when it came out, in actual fact. At the time when it came out, I kind of fell off the whole collecting scheme. As you can see, I got it for $24.99. I actually traded a bunch of games. I got it with a bunch of games that I traded in from that 78 game pickup. So I essentially got that for like dirt cheap. Because as I said previously, the 78 games I paid like 50 cents a piece for. So I was really happy with all the pickups I got, because I got quite a bit of money back in trade. This one is still, as you can see, factory sealed. So I might actually look for a used copy of Final Fantasy 13-2, so I can keep this sealed, but I haven't really given it that much thought. Excuse my cough again. And then to more things Final Fantasy, not really games, but things I've picked up. The Final Fantasy VIII official strategy guide that I picked up with the Final Fantasy VIII Black Label Edition. Again, it's in good condition. You know, paid $25 for it and the game. You know, as you can see, it's a fairly detailed strategy guide, as strategy guides are. I typically don't use strategy guides, but, you know, I thought I'd give it a shot. Plus, it's Final Fantasy, and you can't go wrong with that. And then Final Fantasy Anthology, which is 5 and 6 strategy guide. Again, picked it up with the Final Fantasy Anthology Greatest Hits from my friend. Again, really good game. Really nice guide. It's in great condition. It's got a little bit of shelf wear, but really, it's in fantastic condition. And then I think one of the highlights, besides the boxed NES and SNES games that I have with my condition, is the Sky, the Art of Final Fantasy box set. You know, when it first came out, I missed the release. You know, they went like hotcakes and were sold out before I got one. So when they came out again, you know, money was a little tight for me, so I was, you know, kind of begging my wife, hey, can I get one, can I get one? And, you know, she actually ended up telling my mother about it, and she picked it up for me for Christmas. Now, I'm a huge Final Fantasy collector, and I love the art of Final Fantasy. I've been fighting with myself about opening this up, but it is still, you know, as you can see there, it's got the factory seal on it. But hey, you know, maybe one day I'll open it up or pick up a second copy. But as you can see, you know, that's my Final Fantasy collection that I have. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe, comment. You know, if you have any questions, you know, any other collections you want to see, let me know. You know, I'm open to suggestions. If you know, I'm new at this thing, so if you have, you know, suggestions of things I should do, like not cough in the video, you know I kind of know that, but you know, give me some suggestions. I'm open. I have some other games or other collections I have that I'm going to go through. Also, a question to all you other gamers and, you know, potentially other Final Fantasy collectors. I have the Kingdom Hearts games. I have the 3 for PS2, and I have the 1 cart-only copy for Game Boy Advance. I'm curious, do you guys consider them Final Fantasy games, or Or do you consider just their own game or just a spin-off? You know, if you got a suggestion, leave it in the comment section below. Alright guys, thanks again for checking out my video. I greatly appreciate it. Again, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I've got more videos to come. Have yourself a good one, and game on.